I'm Casey Viera. I don't know if we ever thought we'd live in a world where Victor Wembanyama is the biggest politician in San Antonio, but tell you what, there is not a soul advocating more for that most valuable player award than Victor himself right now.
I'm Matt Tynan, and look, no matter what you think about whether or not he's MVP or he should be campaigning for himself, one thing you don't got to worry about is the fact this dude is the Defensive Player of the Year, and there is absolutely no question in anyone's mind, or there shouldn't be, about that.
And I'm Devin Brown. Shout out to the UTSA women's basketball team. Congratulations on a wonderful season. Matt, Casey, we got a lot to break down. Let's get into it.
This is Locked On Spurs Squad Show, the twice-a-week show where Spurs talk gets real. No filters, no fluff, just raw takes, sharp opinions, and straight-up passion for the game. The way only Locked On Podcast Network knows how. Let's drop some dimes and squad up. The Spurs Squad Show starts now.
Indeed it does, and tonight's program brought to you in part by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back, no fork needed. Vanilla cake flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time over there. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or with Amazon. Welcome into another get-together of the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, #1 podcast network of the sports variety in the world. A lot to talk about tonight. We will tell you exactly what it is in a minute because you know myself, you know Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown. You might know the guy in the middle, Matthew Tynan. You probably don't know him, that he's the new host of the title pod, Locked On Spurs. Welcome into the program, my friend. Your inaugural debut, your debut of, well, I guess your presence. Long time. yeah.
You got it, man. No, I'm super happy to be on board. Thank you guys for bringing me in just to sort of ease me into this entire thing before I get into a 5-day-a-week routine that I have no idea if I'm ready for or not, but we're going to find out.
Yeah, that we will. I know I've had the pleasure of knowing Matt for quite some time, 7 years now, and I've always had a deep admiration for his work. Whatever publication outlet it has been over that time, he's always done a very commendable job, and that's where the praise ends for me right now. Because
thank you. Yes, please, let's end it there.
That's all you're going to get tonight. All right. As you heard off the jump, Victor Wembanyama is advocating himself in a big time fashion. Going to analyze that a little bit more. Look ahead to the final 10 games of the regular season, what we're trying to see for better or for worse. And with the playoffs right around the corner, we wonder what the rotation is going to look like. Is there an odd man out? Do they go 10 deep? All things we are going to hit on as the show comes to a close and the games get a whole lot more important. But let's talk about that guy, the politician, if you will, and Victor Wembanyama. I say that in the most loving of sense because sometimes, how politics is in 2026. But following the victory yesterday over the Miami Heat, he was asked by The Athletic to give really his case, his candidacy, to validate that argument. And to which he said, three things here. My first one would be that defense is 50% of the game and that it's undervalued so far in the MVP race. I believe I'm the most impactful player defensively in the league. Second argument would be that we almost swept OKC in the season, dominated them 3 times with their real team. And my third argument would be that offensive impact is not just points. A lot of to hit on, but as you would expect, Devin, the man is going to advocate for for himself. I read that tweet. I read that quote. What comes to your mind first?
A lot. And, there's some positive and there's some negative in there. Casey, Matt, I'm going to break it down to you like this. As a former player, you don't mind someone like that. And remember now, we're from the era of, Dave Robinson, Tim Duncan. They didn't do things like this, nor did they have the platform to do things like this. So this is new. This is new to the Spurs. Everybody's getting used to how Wemby is. At the same time, everything you said, Casey, about Oklahoma City will be on their bulletin board come playoff time if those two teams meet. So you want to be careful when you're throwing things out there like that. Now, the other side of me is going, yeah, big fella, let's go. All right. So if we're going to ride with you, we're going to ride with you. Now, you just exposed all of us So as players, we got to strap it up and we got to be ready to go. All right. So I'm not mad, nor do I disagree with anything that he said. He's absolutely right. Defense is very important these days. It is undervalued. At the same time, I don't think he's putting too much of a target on his back. But in any case, Casey, Matt, he can handle it.
How about it, Matt? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that we have a former player in here, because exactly the things that he just brought up are the exact things that I was wondering myself. Like, look, just as Devin said that, like, the guys like Duncan and Robinson and these guys didn't have the kind of platform that the new age dudes do, that Victor and everyone else in that locker room have today. I know the bulletin board material has always been a thing, and accessibility is at an all-time high. So you know that 2 minutes after those quotes went out, hit Twitter, you know that Chet Holmgren saw it. You know that all these dudes who are online saw that stuff. And so I think that we are in an age of just, when it comes to the young players in today's NBA, they don't mind speaking out, messing around. But, like, the thing about Victor, and where I sort of, as personally, I hear that stuff and I like cringe, like maybe a little bit, and it's probably me just projecting in terms of being someone who is awful at self-promotion. The thing about Victor is this isn't something new. This has been him all along. So it's not like he's breaking this out of nowhere, taking his teammates by surprise. Like, no matter where you've turned over the last few years, there's been a Victor quote. He hasn't been afraid to say things. He doesn't care what other people think. He literally, and I mean literally, feels like he is destined to be the absolute best, not just in the NBA today, but like in the history of the league. He believes that he's destined for titles. Hell, he's the only guy at the beginning of the year that came out and said, I'll put a number on it. We're going to be a top 6 seed in the Western Conference. He was the only person on the team to do that stuff. So to me, it's like, I think it's interesting when you look at it from the perspective of, is he writing a check that his mouth can't cash or whatever? Like, are his teammates cool with that? Up to this point, they've been riding with him the whole time, so I don't see why not. I think they're kind of all in behind him, but I'm glad that you brought the things up that you did, Devin, because I was wondering that same exact stuff.
I think it's fair, all the stuff that he's saying, because I think the case that he's advocating for, I think that's all the reasons that, maybe with the exception of the Oklahoma City part, because I don't think that's going to decide it, so to speak. But the other aspects of it, especially on the defensive side of things, he's not far off, right?
Yeah.
He's not far off. And you're starting to really see that, not that people ever really were not of the belief of it, because I think at the end of the day, a lot of people, they know what they're getting with Victor. The masses now, they're really, they're getting a bigger picture. They don't see it the way that we see it every single day. And now that's been getting amplified more and more and more. But I agree with what you're saying, Matt, because this should honestly, in many respects, you almost feel like it was kind of dialed back with the way he was articulating it, in many respects, you're kind of like, all right, that's it. That's all you got. You're not going to say any more, slightly backhanded comments with it too. But yeah,
well, and put it this way, like, Victor knows what he's doing, man. He knows every step of the way. He's calculated with this stuff. Like, you can watch him as he's talking. You can see the smirk kind of come across his face as he's talking. Like, he knows that what he's about to say is about to just blow up and spread across the internet like wildfire. He knows it when he says it, when he does it. So this is all calculated. He doesn't mind. He doesn't mind doing it. It's part of I think it's going to be part of the really entertaining aspect of this team going forward, is you just never know what you're going to get with this guy, but it's going to be fun.
Devin, the player's perspective of this, you were talking about everybody riding with him on that, everyone buying in. Is there, I think one time I asked you about it, and trying to find the parallels and an MVP caliber season where a push, things like that, collectively getting everyone to buy in. And the real alternative that you had there was Tim Duncan. So it was kind of like a bad sell because he was on his own planet himself. But
Right.
what is, kind of an individual when they hear something like that, what is a Julian Champagny of the world? What is a Devin Vassell of the world? What are they kind of thinking when they see something like that, to elaborate on that idea of they're going to gear up and ride for this dude?
Well, it definitely makes you wake up in the middle of the night, and I say that in a sense where, you don't want to miss that alarm clock. For a practice, you want to be there an hour early, maybe an hour and a half early. Get your shots up, be ready to go. Because what Victor did was he just set the tape, and he's going. Anybody that's going to be in San Antonio with me in the next 10 to 15 years, you better be ready for this type stuff. So for me, looking at it, I don't have time to mess around, whether I'm a Harrison Barnes, one of the older players, a Keldon Johnson, middle, or I'm one of the new guys in Carter Bryant. This guy means business. And like Matt said, he wants to be the best, not best Spur, not the best all-time NBA player. So when your best player sets a tone like that and says it out loud, Tim was very quiet in the way he approached it, but when you say it out there loud like this, Casey, I got to be ready to go at all times.
You were. Got to give you credit. You were.
I was going to say, what is that sort of that immediate reaction? Like when a guy says something like that, or is your immediate reaction like, well, damn, man, okay. I guess we got to go now.
Matt, you want it live?
Yes.
All right, I read it. I'm like, shit. All right, we're not young anymore.
I got nothing to add on top of that. All right. Looking forward the rest of the way with this MVP aspect of it. Matt, you're new to the club over here. We've been very much on the train that this is going to be decided. Honestly, at least in my opinion, this feels kind of like a baseball MVP race, because usually MVP races in the NBA, you get an idea like right around now who's going to win it. Yeah. And we've kind of been of the mindset that, especially me, that it's going to go to the last week of the season. And in all likelihood, again, in my opinion, I think whoever comes out with the 1 seed probably ends up getting the nod, because it's really tough to put one or the other on a numeric. You're nitpicking, so you play that field even. I think Luka is still too far away to close that gap, barring injury. So are you of also the belief that this will probably go down to the last week to 10 days of the season?
Yeah, I agree with that, and I've felt like that for weeks. And here's the thing where Victor is at a disadvantage, and I hate to be the guy that coming on this show for the first time and being like, I don't think Victor's going to win MVP, and I'm not sure if at this point in time he deserves to win it like today. I think that if Victor does have a chance to win it, he needs it to go down to the wire. He needs this thing to extend all the way through the final game of the season, because think about it like this. Shea already has the head start to start the season. They're coming off the title run. He is not missing a beat. The Thunder, by the way, have had a crazy number of injuries this year. Crazy number of injuries. And you look at all the times that Jalen Williams has missed, all the time that Isaiah Hartenstein has missed, and the fact that he's managed to keep them where they are and not just like replicating the numbers from last year, but improving upon them. And when you see sort of the head start that he had, you can kind of flash back to the early days of the season where Victor had some inconsistencies on offense. He had some high turnover games. It was a little bit up and down. He's been a tour de force since the All-Star break. He has come on to be, at this point, the best defensive player I've ever seen in my life, like live in person. But if they can't catch up to that number 1 spot, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say that he's the one that deserves it, but let me just say this. the MVPs, if he stays healthy, they're coming. If it doesn't happen this year, they are coming down the line because he's inevitable, man. This dude is inevitable, and he's figuring out every little step of what it takes to be a complete basketball player on both sides of the ball.
Matt, you said you were the new guy and you're worried that you were going to get people upset by saying that you don't think he's going to win the MVP. I promise you, if there is ever a place in the world to have the contrarian opinion, it is right between the two of us.
Yeah.
Good.
This is the forum to let it all out. You know,
I'm gonna play the foil. I'm gonna channel my inner like Skip Bayless or something.
All right.
Lose my mind.
I have the power to cut mics over here. Remember that. Remember, I'm the one who pushes all the buttons here. You might do the weekday show, but in this case, you go Skip, man. It was a reality.
Don't worry.
It's fun reality. I'm the reality with this one. I can push that. All right, Devin, you get last word before we move on. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say, I'm listening, to both of you, and the biggest takeaway for me is just that if it does go to SGA, you're gonna have a very mad Joker in Denver, and you know what it should do? You should have a very mad Wemby, and you will. So the playoffs are just gonna be great. They give it to SGA. They're the number 1 seed, and like Max said, they haven't missed a beat. And he's actually playing better. He's scoring, it's way up there. So if Victor doesn't get it, let it fuel him and make this big playoff push.
Whatever dark place he goes to, wherever it's going to be, if he loses, it's going to be quite the scene once he comes at it. All right, coming up on the other side of the break, those 10 games, that last home stretch is what awaits the Spurs as they make that pursuit of the 1 seed or not. Or perhaps that becomes a little bit of an afterthought. That's what we'll discuss. How do they navigate this last 10-game stretch of the season before they head on into the postseason in a couple of weeks? Got that for you and a whole lot more right here on the Spurs Squad Show on Locked On Spurs. But before we do that, we talk about our title sponsor tonight and our friends over there at 5 Hour Energy. If you're a frequenter of these things, you already know what I'm telling you about. But if you're not, well, 18 different flavors to choose from, including the likes of the confetti crazes, the fruity rainbows of the world, cotton candies. I tried a Hawaiian breeze for the first time the other day, as advertised. I was good for 5 hours and a little bit more. Right now, they want to know what is essentially your number 1 pick, so to speak. What is the top flavor that you have in mind? So head on over to 5hourenergy.com and let them know what you think. Or try a new one. 5hourenergy.com is where you're going, or as always, on Amazon. Also want to remind you guys about what we got going on over there at the Everydayer Club. If you haven't already, check us out, because right now, if you do, you get your first month of the Everydayer Club for free when you use code MARCH, M-A-R-C-H, March. You'll unlock ad-free episodes and entry into our private listener group chat where all of us are going to be hanging out daily. You just met Matt Tynan for the first time. He'll be there too. Click on the link on your screen right there, or if you're listening, lockedonpodcast.com/Everydayer. For more information. Conversation rolling on as we focus on what's ahead over the next 3 weeks, amazingly enough, before the playoffs is here. For a San Antonio Spurs team that has a lot to navigate. We know they want to stay healthy above all else. Yes, no kidding. We know, like we said before, they want to advocate for their guys who are up for award contention, not only Victor, but Mitch Johnson, firmly in the Coach of the Year conversation. Keldon Johnson, firmly in the Sixth Man of the Year conversation. They want to advocate for having home court in the playoffs. Coming into tonight, only 3 games back of Oklahoma City with that group to go. That said, Mr. Devin Brown, what should be the priority over the next 3 weeks?
Hey, and Casey, don't forget about Brian Wright up for
True. Yeah.
For sure.
Executive of the Year. So here's the thing. We got 10 games to go. We know that, the city of San Antonio is excited. We're going to have playoff basketball again. It's been a little while. I got to check. I got to check my knees. I got to check my shoulders. I want to see what Big Wemby's going to do. Because if Wemby wants to take a couple of games off, that right knee's not feeling too good on me either. Because I got to be ready, to play with him. So you got a couple of things. You got a couple of players that need to get healthy. And then on the other side, you got to make sure that you're in a good rhythm before the playoffs start as a player. You don't want to go in there, with your 1 of 10s from the floor, 2 of whatever, because, like we talked about, Matt, I know this is your first show. By the way, welcome to the show. Glad to have you. But the biggest thing is when Wemby kicks me the ball in the playoffs, I got to be able to make plays, whether it's for a teammate or it's back to him or even making plays for myself. So the Spurs have a lot on their plate. I want to go the route of making sure that they're 100%. I'm not worried about 60 wins, pretty much in that second seed. So really above me is OKC. We got a lot to take care of before I'm worried about them. So for me, Casey, Matt, I want to be 100%, all 15 guys. That's why I'm going with that.
Yeah, and I think that I would add to it, this is where you want to, hammer in the stuff that you do well, right? This is where all the details that you've been going throughout the season, every practice, every shoot around, all that stuff, this is where you want to nail down the details because, you can attest to this, Devin. Once the playoffs come around, there might be a couple of adjustments in the early portion of a series, but after a few games, you are who you are. These two teams are going to know one another. So I also think just adding on there that this is absolutely where you want to just get all the details down as well as you possibly can. And this is going to be interesting because this is where these young Spurs differ from the guys your squad, Devin, all the other title squads, these guys that have been together for a long time, these guys who know each other so well. This is a pretty new version of the Spurs. There's a long future ahead of them, but right now they're going to have to figure out a lot of this stuff, postseason basketball especially, on the fly. There are dudes on this team that have won titles, but that core group, the guys who you are going to rely on in the high leverage moments, they haven't been there yet. So you gotta iron everything out that you possibly can before you get there. And I just want to add one thing. I'm with you on this one, Devin. And this is very much the way Pop would think too. Look, 60 wins, great. If we get it, yeah, whatever. It's all about the postseason. It's all about staying healthy. It's all about having things right. Wemby wants this stuff. And Mitch Johnson said, and I believe Wemby when he says I'm going to make sure by the end of the season there's no doubt that I'm the MVP. So I'm very much looking forward to what's in store from him. But there's a lot on Mitch Johnson's plate here in terms of regulating what is responsible. He knows the kind of list that Victor Wembanyama has. He made a joke about it recently at a post game. He said he thinks that Victor Wembanyama might have the biggest list of things that he wants to accomplish in the history of the NBA. So he's gonna have to balance making, I don't want to say making Victor happy, but doing right by his guys, and then also making the executive decision of okay, you're not going to play 36 minutes tonight when we don't need it, when we need you to stay healthy. If you're staying at 28 minutes or something, we got to do that for the betterment of our future. So it's going to be a fun thing to watch down the stretch, and an interesting handful of things that Mitch Johnson's going to have to balance in his own right.
Yeah, for sure. The injuries and navigating injuries or lack of whatever you want to put over these next 10. Fox, Garnett tomorrow. The schedule the rest of the way. 2 more on the road: Memphis and Milwaukee, home for Chicago. Then another West Coast road trip. It's been a million this year. Golden State, Clippers, Denver, and then a homestand to end the season. Philly, Portland, Dallas, and Denver on the last game of the season. I want to be aggressive with it. I want to, see these guys make the push for 60 because I think it is in reach. It's very attainable. 3 back really is 2 back because of the tiebreaker. But, unfortunately enough, I think it's kind of what it is, right? They're probably just going to kind of run out of real estate to do all those things, and they're not going to prioritize as much as Victor will try to flex that muscle as much as he can. You know, the Victor's worst enemy is Victor with some of this stuff, right?
I think so.
And he's the only one that's going to get himself in trouble with it. And you know that they know it more so than anybody else, is that they got to reel the dude in and for his own safety and well-being. And go ahead. Yeah.
I want to say one thing. That 60 game thing is real. The other night after the game, their last game before this little road trip that they're on, we're walking to the media room. David Jones-Garcia, who had season-ending ankle surgery a couple of months ago.
I saw your tweet. Go ahead. Yeah.
I didn't have time to bust out my camera, but he came flying by us on his scooter, like whirring into the locker room, and he was just saying, 52, 8 more to go, 52, 8 more to go. So, like, that 60, you know, no matter what we're saying about it, that thing is a target for sure, that 60 win mark.
Last time we were talking about David Jones-Garcia on this program, Devin, I think that was the night you sang Suavemente, and we haven't talked about him since.
Absolutely. My guy had 25. Yeah. I had to give him a shout out.
Whether he stopped singing it because David Jones-Garcia has done minimal since then, or just, you know, because of the
well, I'm glad Matt saw him, Casey, because I haven't seen him.
He exists. He's still around, man. He's
okay.
he's smiling and having a good time watching these dudes for sure.
Yeah, understandably so. I want to revisit the idea of Vic getting in his own way of himself and just being overly ambitious. And not to shoot down the thought of that, but I mean, sometimes reality just kind of sets into the NBA. No indictment on the way that the guy thinks. You appreciate it, but sometimes the games just kind of run out. That's how it works out. Devin, how does a coaching staff, an organization navigate Victor at this point, that attitude, that aspect, that energy, knowing that this has not happened yet? This success hasn't happened yet. You know, he's talked a big game the second he got here, and understandably so, but all those things hadn't come to fruition until now. How does the ownership group, all the way down to Coach Mitch, how do they keep things in check for Victor right now?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily all on the front office, owner and things like that. Where it comes big, and I want to speak to the voices that Matt had talked about or alluded to earlier. And what is going to be big is different parts of the playoffs are going to be bring different scenarios to this young team. So with a guy like Victor, he does have two forefathers that we all know, Dave and Tim, that are very similar, but they're different in the fact that he can rely on them and they are available and they will be there at the practice facility, okay, to talk to him and kind of coach him through this playoff thing. Now, you can't really speak to how Victor is about the things that he says to the media, the way he's just upfront and honest about, you know, different things. But I will say this, and I know that, you know, yes, they're big on the 60 win things because it puts them as one of the, and they've already broken a lot of records, team this year. And it's going to put them, you know, on this mantle. But let me tell you this, that's on the right side of the practice facility. It's all about the left side of the practice facility and that Larry O'Brien trophy. That's what Victor's going after. At the end of the day, all this stuff that he sees, it's 5 trophies up there, and he's trying to get to 6 for San Antonio. So when I hear him doing all this and hear him saying all this, it's not really on the organization, Casey, so to speak, to try and control him. It's just that you got to realize that if Victor takes care of his body, he's going to have a shot at everything that's going to be in front of him. All right? So that's just what I wanted to say about that.
That's fair. Man. That's fair. No, I agree. That's fair. I if the man says it, I mean, there's no one else, like I said from the jump, there's no one else who's going to advocate for more for himself than him, than the team.
And there's almost like he's trying to like manifest this stuff, right? Like it's almost like there's something in his head where he's like, I gotta say this for it to come true, or I'm not sure, you know, exactly how he's thinking in that regard, but you're right. I mean, end of the day, there's so many different things tied to, making all NBA, MVP, defensive player of the year, so many financial benefits to winning that stuff and to getting to the 65 games and all this stuff. And that is a lot different today in terms of like, you gotta achieve these certain goals to reach financial goals and yada, yada, yada. I don't know how concerned Victor is with all the financial stuff. I just think he wants the hardware. But at the end of the day, you're right. Like, this is all about the Larry O'Brien. And I think he realizes that. I think he just wants all of it. Like, I think he wants everything. And that's why he kind of speaks the way he does, because he wants it all. He's greedy when it comes to that kind of stuff.
He could be here 10, 15 years, and I don't know if we'll ever have that guy figured out, man. Just because I don't know if we'll ever have it, because it's just a fascinating human being, because the way that he speaks, sometimes you wonder if it's the confidence, whether it's a French thing or it's a language barrier, some of it too. He's an eccentric personality at minimum, and you're better in print. Give me a deeper synonym to unique, a better one. Think of a fancier one. Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, he's an eclectic personality.
There we go. Eclectic. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
And I almost feel like we need better access to Tony for him to like translate exactly what Victor's sentiment is, Tony Parker.
Then there'll be a third translator.
Right. We might have to edit some things out along the way too. But yeah, he's unique, man. He's been, we in the media, I started my career covering the Kawhis and the Tims later in his career. And you go from those guys to Victor Wembanyama, who is not afraid of a quote at all. And I still remember the days of Timmy, man. You walk in that locker room, and if you're talking to Manu on one end of the locker room and Timmy's coming out the hallway on the other side and everyone's back is turned to him, he kind of leans against the corner, looks around for a second, and if nobody spots him hanging on the corner for like 3 seconds,
gone.
He's out. So we always had like a lookout. Like, hey, Tim, someone go get him. But this is a completely different experience altogether, man.
Hey, Casey, can I say this? So
You can.
all the draft picks, all the players that play in the NBA, you have to go to the RTP, the Rookie Transition Program, and you learn everything from when that plane lands, your behavior on the bus. We go through all of that. There's two people that come to mind when I hear y'all talking about Victor and the media training. You go through all of this stuff. They interview you. I mean, you go through all this stuff. I'm thinking that LeBron and Wemby didn't go to that. They might be the only two players in the history that didn't go through that, because Victor just gets up there and says whatever's on his mind. And they teach you at that not to do that. I just wanted to say that.
Or it's a French thing. Again, I don't know. I don't know. We have 10 plus years to figure that out, and then again, I don't think we will have it figured out.
Yeah, good luck to us all. Good luck to us all.
All right, we have some more things to figure out. Who's going to be playing for the Spurs in the playoffs? Because they got some pretty good guys out there right now, and in all likelihood, not all of them are going to see the floor. Good problems to have. We'll try to maybe dig for a few answers, or I guess answers, what you could say, right here on the Spurs Squad Show on Locked On Spurs. But before we do all that, we step aside to talk about another one of our friends who help in driving our program. And in this case, again, keep your home looking pretty good over there like they do with Wayfair. Spring is always the perfect time to refresh your space and make your home better for you, whether it's updating a room, adding some outdoor furniture, finally organizing that cluttered corner. It's a great chance to bring a fresh look into your home. I did the garage the other day. I checked in with Wayfair, helped me out with some smaller stuff, and I feel fantastic about it. So I can vouch for it. And that's where they come in. Everything from small stuff like I needed there From furniture and decor to organizing solutions, outdoor essentials, they make it easy to find pieces that match your style and your budget above all else. So find furniture, decor, and essentials that fit right into your unique style and budget. Head on over to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home, WAYFAIR.com with Wayfair. Every style and every home. Spurs Squad Show rolling on a Tuesday night right here on Locked On Spurs, along with NBA champion Devin Brown. That unfamiliar face you see in the middle is Matthew Tynan. He's going to be taking care of business every single day for you guys on the title pod Locked On Spurs, starting tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay, starting tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I had to make sure I sell the product correctly. Okay, starting tomorrow. All right, we are a little over 3 weeks away from the playoffs getting underway, and I'd like to think that every time we have some sort of answer for how this rotation is going to look, things change along the way. And Devin, you and I, we broached this subject maybe about 2 weeks ago when Harrison Barnes was going through and essentially being non-factors before he got injured. Then he comes back from his injury, and now he's been great. Julian Champagne's hit a little bit of a rut along the way. These type of things prompt conversations to help us create some rhyme or reason, or try to find some rhyme or reason. Where are you right now, and who gets left out of the equation, or does anybody get left out of the equation?
All right. Well, from the get-go, everybody's going to get an opportunity. And I mean, all the way down from Wemby all the way down to Carter Bryant. I feel like Carter Bryant's the last guy. I'm debating, and I gotta check out a couple of more things with Mason Plumlee, because I feel like he can really help. Love, Luke, and Luke does a lot of stuff to stay on the floor, meaning, with this and the dancing and the Atlanta Magic City thing. He does a lot of politicking, to be out there on that court. But I gotta make sure that Luke is gonna, really, step in and provide the playoff minutes, not regular season, playoff minutes when you have to have Wemby out of there. And then when I look at it, and Matt, you're gonna get, familiar with some of the stuff that Casey and I talk about, but you've seen it throughout the year when De'Aaron Fox doesn't have his Mr. Fourth Quarter stuff. You see Castle, you see Harper. Is Mitch, that's available. Is Mitch going to be able to pull the trigger on that? Now, if Harper gets into this thing, sometimes he's left-handed. I got my left hand up. Sometimes that basketball sticks to his hand a little bit too much. I don't know if he has a little fever on passing it to the open guys. He does all these crazy shots. If he starts tripping, are you going to go with Castle and Fox? So there's a lot, and I like that y'all brought up that there's going to be a lot, not on Wemby's plate, not only on him, but on Coach Mitch, because there's going to be some guys. There's going to be some guys that aren't going to provide things. I love you bring up Juju. He's struggling a little bit. Is he going to be able to pull the trigger? I'm going to have to wait and see on that, Casey.
How about it, Matt?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's right. This is kind of going back to what we were mentioning a little while ago. It's like we don't know what this core group, this young group, looks like on that stage yet. We don't know what they look like when that magnifying glass is on them, and the guys in the other film room are watching that tape all day and night in between games, making sure they have a plan to counter what you did, or a counter to the counter, all of that kind of stuff. And we don't know quite yet how those guys will respond. I got to give it to them. So far this year, they've responded great, like the second and third and fourth times that they've played teams. And we've seen them in a lot of these sort of, not a lot, it's not like there are a lot of them over the course of the season, but those baseball-style series, or even when they play a team multiple times within the period of like a week or two. We've seen them respond really well in those situations. Still very different in the postseason. I think at this point, if you're Mitch, and to what you were just talking about, Devin, if there are those moments where Dillon is not effective in his run off the bench in the first quarter, like, look, man, you've been playing De'Aaron Fox like 29 minutes a game this year, 30 minutes a game this year. he's not going to have any problem in the postseason being like, it's 36 tonight, it's 37, it's 38. And it's going to be the same with Castle. In the Harrison Barnes part of it, and you also mentioned Cornette. I think Barnes and Cornette are really interesting here because like those are guys who have won titles, and Cornette has played a pivotal backup role on a championship team. Barnes has been there before too. I am a little bit curious about the Plumlee scenario, and it's not like we're going to see a ton of it in the postseason, but one thing that Mitch has mentioned a lot this year is he wishes that he could play more of the French vanilla lineup, of the Wemby Cornette lineup. He wishes he could play that more often. He just hasn't been able to because they haven't had that like third big. He doesn't want to play Biz all the time. So if there is a scenario where they need to get bigger, and look, we've seen it this year. Like, think of the teams that give them trouble, right? It's the teams with the big front courts. I'm not talking about just the big five. It's the big four. So you have like a New York, and then Minnesota is a team that's given them problems this year, and hell, they might have to match up with them right off the bat or in the second round of the playoffs. So to have a little more depth in that front court, and if like you need Plumlee for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes in a playoff game just to be a big body and allow them to run more of that too big lineup, then maybe that's where we'll see it. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of wait and see with this group, right? Because like across the board, from the coach to the young players, we don't know what they have in those high leverage moments. I will say though, that dude sitting next to Mitch Johnson, Sean Sweeney, has been there before. He was the architect of the Dallas Mavericks defense that went to the finals, couldn't take down the Celtics, but that defense was the best in the league from like that season, from like the All-Star break all the way through the postseason. So you have a guy in your corner who does have experience scheming, particularly on the defensive end, but he can do it both ways. And he was going all the way through the playoffs right there next to Jason Kidd. So I think that is sort of an underrated element when it comes to that inexperience on the coaching staff. That's a hell of a lot of experience right there next to Mitch.
No, that's a valid point. I got to give Mitch Johnson credit because the idea of his schematics rotation, knowing his person, that might be a little too strong to say, but schematically and some of his rotations, for me, that was a little bit of a cautionary thing when they promote him to the full-time gig. Bullet points for you, Matt. I'm very pro Mitch Johnson, though, on this show. That's the bullet point. That's the bullet points. There's 2 things you need to come know about. I'm a big Mitch Johnson guy, and then it's a roller coaster ride. Our love-hate relationship with De'Aaron Fox, and it often involves the first and the 15th for Devin. Anyways, I digress.
Yep.
But look, whenever the Fox talking points come about, be sure to look at the calendar when it comes to Devin. All right.
Gotcha.
No, but I got to give Mitch Johnson credit because I didn't think the schematical rotation aspect of it was a strong part of his game, strong part of his hire. But consistently, he has gone at times, even a couple of weeks ago, played 11 guys in the first half.
Yeah.
Not a lot of coaches do that. And not a lot of coaches know their team to that length. You know, they know maybe what they got 1 through 8 pretty good, but you get down to 9, 10, 11, you don't go in that territory come the playoffs. But maybe Mitch Johnson does, because it's been a relatively, heck, even like Lindy Waters, man. Like, how many times have we seen Lindy Waters get second quarter minutes, regular rotation minutes at that point? Mitch has shown that he knows what he knows what he's got with some of these guys. So, when you say like a mix and match, that's often cliche, a plug and play type deal. So I'm looking for something not as cliche on that front. Again, that's why we hired Matt Tynan to come in, because he's the lyricist of the bunch to find things more eloquently than me. But I think for me, I think that's something that's been very advantageous for the Spurs, is that Mitch Johnson hasn't been afraid, for better or worse. If it fails, it fails. But now you know what you got or what you don't have. And he's answered a lot of those questions early.
Well, he's got a little pop in him, right? I mean, like he's been around since 2016. Like he knows this organization. He's been around Popovich, and he's got some of that in him. Like we've seen him do the hockey line change thing, right? We've seen him throw the Lindy Waters and McLaughlin and Carter Bryant in like a couple of minutes into the game. We've seen it before. Are we going to see that in the postseason? I'm guessing things have gone pretty wrong if we're seeing early minutes from a lot of those guys. I think the big question mark is like, and I actually asked him this recently, like how do you know when you're far enough along with a guy like Carter Bryant that you trust him in big situations? Like how long is the leash there? I guess we'll see with that. Carter Bryant is the type of guy that I think if you just need that infusion of energy and you throw him out there for 3 or 4 minutes just to see what happens, then great. I think his minutes, you're probably going to see them come down a little bit. It's the postseason, man. Like this thing is good. This rotation's going to shrink down to 8 or 9 at most, in all likelihood, at least in terms of like your regular rotation. And I think it's kind of a break glass in case of emergency type of thing if you start to see anything beyond that. Like no discredit or shade at those other guys, but like this is when you got to have your best 8-9 guys on the court no matter what at all times.
I'm glad you brought up Carter Bryant because this was something I wanted to pitch to Devin, because I think Carter Bryant's a very similar, relatively similar, because you were a little bit more established at this point, Devin, than Carter Bryant was. What, as a player, as a young player, their second year in the league, third year in the league, not really established, kind of being the overriding sentiment I'm going for here. How much does the playoffs change for a younger guy like that when they take the floor for the first time? They're getting those early reps. How much does that kind of impact, the inexperience of a guy like Carter Bryant? Devin, you got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. That was
Oh, my bad. So the biggest thing is, and I wanted to, I'm glad you brought that up about him, because I have him circled. So we had talked about this in the past, and I love the comparisons between Coach Mitch. He does have pop in him and things like that. And what you have to realize with the San Antonio Spurs is you're going to be tested when you don't even think you're going to be tested. So if you get in with 2 minutes to go in a regular season game in a blowout, Pop and his staff are watching to make sure that you're doing everything correctly. And I mean everything. The people in the stands, the other team, they can think it's a blowout, this and that. They're watching everything that you do. So for a Carter Bryant, when you get in, and he's done well at times with those 2 minutes, which is turned into 10 minutes, which is turned into 20 minutes. So he's done fine in things like that. Now, you go back to the Denver game in Denver when he guarded Jokic. He did a phenomenal job. Now you come a month or whenever it was they played in Houston, got a little bit of foul trouble against KD. So every single time you step on the floor, they are testing you. Now, what that leads to, Casey, and to speak to your point is, when you get out there and it's first quarter and Juju picks up 2 fouls or Vassell picks up 2 fouls, and right away, instead of going to a Harrison Barnes or, whatever, you're going to get your opportunity.
Yeah.
Now, what Carter does with that is what he does with that. Now, you may pick up a foul. You may miss a rotation. Boom, you get a quick sub out. Well, that was a test. All right. And now it's going to be harder to get back in there after that. So for me, I think Carter Bryant has done well, with these early tests. But, man, when you talk about the playoffs and you talk about, first round may be Devin Booker, that second round, you're talking Anthony Edwards, Luka, LeBron, playing the 4 for the Lakers. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for him, a guy like him. But at the end of the day, you have Harrison Barnes who's just steady. Mm-hmm. So he'll get an opportunity. We'll just see what he does with it.
All right, last point, Matt. Have at it before we move on.
No, man. This is part of the fun of covering this team right now. It's like you call a guy like Harrison Barnes steady. That's what he is. You call a guy like Luke Cornett. He's steady. That you have the guys on your team you know that you can trust to just at the very least tread water. The exciting part is what do these young kids do? Like what are the 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-old guys going to do? And when you look back at a lot of the title runs over the years, or at least like the emergence of young stars, that big stage, like that postseason stage, is where it all really comes to life. And so to see what Castle's going to do out here, to see what Dylan Harper's going to do out here, obviously to see what Victor Wembanyama does on the postseason stage, especially, and I like your point, Devin, if he doesn't win MVP, he's gonna go full scorched earth on everybody, and it would be incredibly entertaining to watch. But it is there is so long as they all stay healthy, man. This team is set up for the future as well as any team in the history of this league, and I'm not even joking about that. They are set up to succeed beautifully so long as everyone stays healthy. So part of the fun for covering this team right now is to see what these young dudes are capable of doing in that second season, when the regular season turns to the postseason and you're talking about a completely different animal. This is the fun part, man. Playoffs in San Antonio for Fiesta. I have missed it. It's just been way too long.
I was joking with Devin the other day, man. I started working in media out here in 2019. Right after Aldridge spaced out in Game 7 in Denver.
Yeah.
And after that, I mean, you and I, we've seen some
we've seen some bad basketball, man. But hey, I will say though, like throughout all of those years, they just did an unbelievable job, managing the emotions of all of this, the ups and the downs and the ebbs and the flows, and like they did a wonderful job keeping them focused on the task at hand. It's why you see Keldon playing as well as the best basketball of his career now. Same with Devin Vassell. Like these guys that have been around through all of it, they kept their eye on the prize. They didn't sort of falter. They didn't want out. They didn't get tired of it. They embraced it, took it on, took the challenge, and now, like, look at them today, part of something special at the moment.
That they are, to put it mildly. That they are, as they zero in on that 60-win marker, that 60-win plateau. All right, almost time for us to put a bow on things. But before we do, yes, we'll have one more. I'm trying to think about what we have our next block. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna talk about what we got on deck tomorrow. That's it. Yeah. We have some good stuff lined up for tomorrow with Matt Tynan on board. We'll hit on that in a little bit more coming up on the other side of the break right here on the Spurs Squad Show on Locked on Spurs. But one more message from one of our friends who helped in putting this program on the air, and that, of course, over there, our pals at ZocDoc, who are reminding you need to get your checkups. You need to get it done. And finding a doctor you actually like, I'm completely aware, it can feel like trying to find a diamond in the rough. Sure, you want someone who's in network, who's nearby, who just has availability, right? But you also just want a doctor who listens and makes you feel comfortable. Say less, that's where you're going to ZocDoc. It's a free app and a website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love without all the hassle. We're talking about booking in-network appointments, over 150,000 providers, all 50 states, every specialty from primary care to dentistry, dermatology, eye care, whatever. They got over 200 of them. So stop putting off these doctor appointments. Go to ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. One more time, ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, almost time for us to put a bow on a Tuesday get-together of the Spurs Squad Show right here on Locked On Spurs. You fine folks at home, up to this point, you know myself. You obviously know Devin. That guy in the middle, you're still learning. You might know his handiwork because he's pretty well established in his journalistic career. Tomorrow is the first, however, of the Locked On Spurs variety.
Yeah.
So tell us, my friend, what you got lined up on the title pod tomorrow?
Yeah, actually, I've found the comments that Victor made to The Athletic fascinating, and I think we're going to get into them a little more granularly, like bit by bit, because he had the 3 outlines, right? So we got a couple of segments at least with those, just kind of combing through the nitty gritty of it all, and I know I spoke on it a little bit earlier, but we'll get into it a little bit deeper, and then look ahead to probably. With the Bucks coming up and no De'Aaron Fox. Well, look, these are the games we've seen over the last couple of days. Like, we've seen good teams go down to bad teams and tanking teams, and like these are the important ones. Like, Devin, we were talking about, this is where you hammer out the details. Don't drop games like these. Like,
Nope.
These are the ones that you got to take care of, and you got to look good doing it. So we're gonna get into all that.
I'm just thinking every time we talk about a tanking team at the end of this season, it just takes me back to Devin, what you told me about your first 10 days. Told me about your first 10 days in the league for that 03 Nuggets team. And it's
with Denver. We were everybody's homecoming game. Absolutely.
But hey, what was it that you told me the other day? You were like, you got here, you're like, I'm not the reason you guys have 10 wins all season, right?
I mean, and I'm sitting in there in the locker room, and some of the comments that were being made about from the big guys about the guard play, I was like, listen, these guards were here all year long now. Don't start pointing that my way.
I've been here 20 days exactly.
Yeah.
I was here 10 days once and 10 days again. Don't blame me for the prior.
Yeah, everybody in the comments watching live, if you don't like this show, don't blame me. I just got here. I just got here.
That's right.
Exactly. Who was the starting backcourt at that point?
Me and Vincent Yarbrough.
Oh wow!
You told me that.
Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee.
Yeah, you told me that. Was McDyess?
We had Nene. Nene was the 5.
That's right. Yeah. And was McDyess still on that team, or he was gone?
KC. No. I think McDyess might have been here in San Antonio
by that time.
Yeah, McDyess.
All right,
that
I was roaming the halls at West Campus when McDyess was playing there.
Yeah,
Man,
I gotta look this up.
Was that McDyess? That might have been McDyess Pistons era, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Yeah, I think you're right. That sounds right. All right, Antonio McDyess. So that was 02-03 season. Devin's rookie year. McDyess at that point was on the Knicks.
Oh, there you go.
That's right.
Man, I completely forgot about McDyess
with the Knicks.
Yeah, he was on the Knicks very briefly. Was that Marcus Camby trade? Am I making that up? I think that was Marcus Camby. Well, at one point, I mean, Devin didn't play with Marcus Camby, I know, on that team.
Unless he was injured.
He's like, I didn't see him.
I didn't see
he wasn't there when I was there.
Hey, I played with a couple of players on the East Coast that they did all their rehab in California. I won't name any names.
Man, yeah.
Matt,
I never saw him.
The man has seen some things.
Absolutely, man.
Yep, and
I look forward to hearing more. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
we've gotten through 72 games of this stuff. I can only imagine the stuff he and I are going to be saying by the time we get to the playoffs.
Exactly.
Hey, next time you're going to be hearing. We just told you next time you're going to be hearing from Matt bright and early in the AM with the brand new host of the obviously brand new host of the title pod. Come back at night at the conclusion of Spurs and Grizzlies. You know it by now. Devin and I will be right back here on the back end, putting a bow on things. Hopefully talking about the 23rd win in 25 tries, right? 23 out of their last 25 for the San Antonio Spurs, right here on the Spurs Postcast, or on tomorrow on the Spurs Postcast, right here on Locked On Spurs. This, of course, the Spurs Squad Show, and you guys again hanging out with us one more time, like you have been all year now, man. I mean, we're already in March, and you guys have been here from start to finish, engaged, enthused every time of the day. And as we near closer to the playoffs, it's going to be infinitely more and more fun. 10 more games to go before they get a lot more important for us over here too. So, yes, looking forward to it. Good stuff tonight, fellas. Appreciate it.
Get your relaxation time in now, because like if you forgot what it's like, it gets pretty intense here in a couple of weeks, man. Get your relaxation time in now.
Well, yeah, the point I was getting at, I've never experienced, I mean, I've lived in San Antonio coming up on a decade, it feels like.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced playoff basketball as a media member yet. So
let's go.
Yep, even down to the micro level at that. Pretty cool. All right, good stuff, boys. I will talk to you coming up on Thursday. That's our next get-together, 9:15 right here on the Spurs Squad Show on Locked On Spurs. So for Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, Matt Tynan, the man in the middle, I'm Casey Viera. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and we will talk to you tomorrow.